Hey, welcome to Cheaper TV. I'm Dino, your host. Glad to see you here. This video is the first in a series of videos focusing on protecting your Jeep. In this video, we're going to talk about a product from Rock Stopperz which is designed to protect the edges of your hinges from chipping while on the road. Stick around. Sometimes when people get themselves a Jeep, whether new or used, they want to take measures to help protect it. Well, the hinge area on a Jeep Wrangler is one of those areas that could benefit from a little bit of protection, because no matter which Wrangler you have, the hinges stick out and sand or pebbles from the road will fly by and possibly chip the paint, which would help lead to rust or corrosion. Now there are of course running boards and mud flaps and those kinds of things, but still you'll find some pebbles or sand while you're driving down the highway will sandblast the edges here of the hinges. So a product that's out there that would help with this problem is called Rock Stopperz. Let's have a look and see what's in the package. So when you open the package, you'll get a Rock Stopperz sticker that you could put on your Jeep if you like, and then you'll get these 4 pallets of the protective film. Now each of these pallets have 4 pieces of protective film. The top 2 go on the top hinge and the bottom 2 go on the bottom hinge for each of the 4 doors, hence the 4 pallets. Now to install these, you'd simply have to spray isopropyl alcohol on the surfaces and wipe them dry so that there's no material that's going to get in the way of having these protective film pieces from bonding and sticking to your paint. And then once you've done that to all 4 doors, you now have those edges protected from stone chips, and then it'll reduce the opportunity for rust and corrosion to occur. Let's do the install. So the first thing we want to do is clean the surfaces of the hinges with some isopropyl alcohol to help the surfaces get cleaned of dirt and debris, and that'll help the film to bond to the surface of the paint nicely. This is the best I could do to show you the way the film is shaped. And this piece here, which is a tall rectangle, so it goes on the top of the hinge. And then the bottom part of the hinge has this piece right here where you can see it gets a little narrow on the right hand side. That's to go along the part where the hinge extends into the frame of the door. Let's have a closer look now at the hinge. Okay, let's bring it in close here to the back hinge on the passenger side. This is the top hinge, and what we want to do is to peel the film off the paper, but we don't want to use our fingers and touch the film because it'll be impossible to avoid getting fingerprints on the glue part, and then it'll show when you put it on the hinge. So the way to do it is you just take the top of the piece of paper and you bend it back, because the film is thick enough to peel away from the paper, and that's a good sign that the film is that thick, because that's what gives your hinge the protection. So when you fold the paper back, you see the straight edge of the film, and you want to line it up on this raised edge here on this top barrel of the hinge. And then you also want to center it between the top and the bottom of the barrel, and so just holding onto the paper and not touching the plastic, you just attach it to the raised part right here on the forward facing surface. And should you touch it and it not be aligned properly, in the early stages you could peel it off, but once you get started it'll be too difficult to do. So just be careful at the very beginning, line it up on that edge as well as centered between the top and the bottom of the barrel. And then once you started it, you could then peel it away from the paper and then begin to rub the film in. You want to do this when you have some warm temperatures, because that'll keep the plastic nice and supple. And also you could rub it with your finger, because that helps it keep a little bit warm and form to the shape of the hinge. Now, in order to get the maximum amount of protection, they tried to make the length of the hinge this way as much as possible, but you can see at the top, for example, of the hinge barrel, it curves a little bit, and that's okay. You just want to rub the plastic film as much as possible because it'll soften it up and it'll take to the form of the hinge. That's why you want to make sure you have warm temperatures when you're doing this. Okay, so I'll just spend some time here. I don't mind spending a little bit of time to make sure that it's bonded really well to the surface of the paint, because that'll avoid issues later. Wow, that's really nice, and it blends right in nicely because the gloss of the plastic blends in with the gloss on the paint. Okay, now we're ready to do the bottom side, and that's the sheet that has the tapered edge, so it's the next one on the paper. And the wider part you line up with the edge of this plastic film, and the tapered part goes against that piece of the hinge that goes into the frame of the door. Once again, we're not going to touch the film with our hands, we're just going to peel the paper back so that the plastic film just comes off of it. And then we line it up between the top and the bottom of this barrel, and the edge is aligned with the edge of the above film. So once you are happy, you can just touch that edge, and that's it. Once you got it where you want it, you just can peel it off the paper, and then just start at this end and rub it as it goes right along that piece of metal there. And I'm not sure how the camera's picking up on it, but it's nice. It's nice and clear. You can barely tell it's there. I don't think people will notice it unless you tell them, but you know it's there, and you also know that these hinges are getting protected from those nasty stone chips. I'm happy with that. Let's go down to that hinge. We're down here at the lower hinge of the rear door on the passenger side, and the next piece of plastic film on the piece of paper is for the top barrel. And once again, we make sure to look for that raised edge, and then we peel the paper back. We don't touch that plastic film with our fingers, and you can see there's the nice edge. And what you want to do is again line it up between the top and the bottom and along this raised edge on the forward facing surface of it. And then you could peel the paper back and then begin to rub this in. I'll use the surface of my fingernail to help put pressure on the film and help it bond to the surface of the paint here. Also, it'll help make sure I rub out any possible air bubbles, but if you rub from this edge as you're applying it and move your way in, you shouldn't get any air bubbles. The very most that I'm seeing is that the top of the barrel needs to get warm and pressed in so that it can take to the contour of the top of the barrel that you see right there. Okay, let's now put on the bottom one, and that's the last piece on this piece of paper. And again, what we'll do is we'll just peel the film back and then line it up with that edge and between the top and bottom of the barrel, and then just rub it along. Just move it from one side to the inside, putting pressure and rubbing it, and that goes on nice and smooth, as simple as that. And even though it looks like it's on there perfect now, I'm still going to spend some time making sure I'm putting a lot of pressure and rubbing that film on and rubbing my finger to warm it up, help it bond. Okay, let's go over to the front passenger door. Take out the next piece of paper, and we'll bring you in close so I could demonstrate one more time. So once again, we won't touch these plastic film protectors with our fingers. We're just going to peel the edge of the paper so that the plastic film comes off. And that's what we'll do to line up this edge with the raised edge of the top of the barrel here. And we want to apply it on the front facing surface here, just where that line is. And we want it between the top and the bottom of the barrel. There we go. Nice. Now that can come right off, and you can just spend a couple minutes making sure you rub it in all the way around. And like I said, you know, from my point of view here, you don't even know they're here. People won't even see them. You could tell them and they'll probably be able to spot the edges of the film, but you know it's there and you know it's giving you the protection on those edges, and the gloss of the plastic just matches with the gloss of the paint. So it's a nice and non-intrusive product that gives you a little protection. Okay, now we'll move to the next piece of plastic protective film that's on the piece of paper. We roll the paper back to expose the edge of the film, and then we line it up with that one in between the top and bottom of the barrel. And once it's on, the paper can just peel off, and then you just continue to pressure this in this way, right along that piece of metal that extends in the frame. Wow, that's nice. One more to go and we finish this side. Let's go to that one. Okay, last one to go. Okay, so now we have a piece of paper where we peel it back and it reveals the edge of the plastic, and we want to tie that into the raised edge here with the forward facing surface of it, and between the top and the bottom of that barrel. Go for the side, work away inside. Wow, that's nice. I like to put a little pressure and spend some time on that edge of the barrel to make sure that there's not a lot of visible raised edge there. Okay, that was quick. Last one to do on this side. Peel the paper back and then line up the top and bottom of the barrel, line up with that edge right there. Use my surface of my fingernail just to give it good pressure and rub it more with my fingers to give it some heat to help with the bond. But I'm pretty happy with how it looks and how easily it applied, and I'm happy with the protection that it's going to give. Okay, now we're going to go and do the other side as well, but you don't need to watch that because it's the same process as how we did these 4 doors on this side. Okay, now if there's anything that's a Jeep thing, it's having these hinges on the outside, because that's what allows Jeepers to take their doors off. And it's not too much effort to just put this protective film on to protect those hinges just to keep your Jeep looking good. Now, Jason over at Rock Stopperz had sent this for review and I'm really happy with it, but he also included 2 more packages that I could send out to 2 winners in a draw. So to enter the draw, all you have to do is send an email to contact@cheaperjeepertv, and all you have to do is say in that email, "Hey Dino, enter me into the draw," and in 6 days from the release of this video, I will pick 2 winners and I'll notify them that they won, and they can send me their address and I'll ship out the product to them. And I'd like to give a special thank you to Jason at Rock Stopperz for providing the protective film for the hinges here to be reviewed, as well as the extra 2 packages to be offered in a draw. Thanks a lot, Jason. So if you thought that was helpful, stick around for the tip. Now for some cheaper Jeeper tips. One tip that I'd like to share in this video is make sure if you apply this protective film that you use some isopropyl alcohol to keep the surface clean and free of any grease. This will allow the protective film to bond to your paint a lot better. But also, if you were thinking of doing a ceramic coat or that sort of thing, wait until you put your Rock Stopperz on, and then you could put ceramic coat over top of that. Again, thanks to Jason for providing this for our viewers for Cheaper Jeeper TV. Hey, that's it for this week's episode of Cheaper Jeeper TV. I hope that you found it helpful, and if you did, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the alert bell so you'll be notified when our next video is released. Until then, I'm Dino for Cheaper Jeeper TV. Be well, stay safe, take care.